come on over this way. You'll see Juan working on, he's installing some side brackets to hold front panels. And he's also installing a back, right now he's installing metal side brackets, which is right here. Nice little bracket, and it holds our front panel. We're doing some design changes to the bracket. So Juan, being one of our engineers, is testing the change, and then it goes off to our to our developer, off premise, and with the change. But we do all our testing here.
Beautiful.
This is Kevin will tell you what it. Come on over. Kevin will tell you what he's doing here.
What you doing, Kevin?
Well, I'm doing some testing on this preamplifier that we make for the piano. I'm making sure that all the components are correct and that all the functions is correct, and we put it through the scope, and and I have my meter and various things, and so each one of them is checked individually to make sure it's all functional, before it goes in the piano itself. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So everybody that plays a new Rhodes piano is going to know that you had your hands on their preamp, and
That's exactly right.
nice.
Yeah, that's
Quality
exactly
control.
Right. Yeah.
Now, you used to work for both Fender, Rhodes, and the just Rhodes factory.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So what were you doing there?
Well, I was in the R&D lab at Fender, so I worked on a lot of different products there. I worked on Rhodes, I did the Eric Clapton Stratocaster for Fender, and worked on various artists' equipment. When they would come in, they'd bring us stuff, or we would custom make equipment for them.
And having been there on the front lines back then, and having you're being here now on the new model, what do you think are the biggest differences in your mind?
I think the attention to the quality changes, the improvements. Fender was a mass manufacturer. They manufactured large quantities. Here it's a little more intimate, and we have a lot more chance to, refine every single part of it. And so for me, it's a great opportunity, to be in on the development part of it, and the intimate portions of it. So
Awesome.
yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Now, even though the preamp has chips in it, at the input we use a FET. And a FET transistor has a very smooth clipping, as opposed to most transistors that they're kind of harsh and they crackle. The FET has a very smooth waveform when it clips, and so it's very harmonically rich. So that's right at the front end off the harp, so that you end up, that is what goes first before any of these chips can distort. Yeah, so that's what gives it the nice mellow tone, when that breaks over. Also, we're having these controls custom made for us, and you notice they have a little support bracket on them. We also have a very fat bushing and a solid metal shaft that goes all the way through the pot.
Awesome.
Yeah, so these are extremely heavy duty.
Durable.
Yeah, very durable, and it's a double-sided board, and it's very reliable. We have all 1% tolerance resistors, so every one you're going to buy is going to be the same. There's hardly any drift or anything like that in the tone. And so,
I mean, every aspect of the manufacturing, every part, these are made for long-term use. This is not a piano that's made as it's just gonna, use it for a year and then I'll have to replace it.
The passive unit, or what we call the standard unit, is just the old Rhodes with the two knobs, volume and this is a low-frequency cut control, and we're using really the identical components to the old ones, all the orange drop capacitors and CTS controls. So we've tried to done a good job of making this just like the old one in its function, and that sort of thing with parts. Yeah, it's straight piano. The active version, which we have sort of an active version here. This is the active MIDI. But the active version has this preamplifier in it with a sweepable mid-range control, treble and bass controls, and a broad-range tremolo. And
the tremolo comes on and off by pulling out.
That's correct. Yeah. And then we have what we call a side panel connector, which is over here. Now again, this is the MIDI. We have MIDI in, out, through, and we also have an effects loop that comes directly off the harp. So it's unadulterated, so to speak, from the preamp, and you can put all your effects right up front and then color them with the preamp if you like. If
Now I see a USB out, and I see some wheels on here, which is
right, these are pitch modulation wheels, and then we also have the direct out XLRs and 1/4 inch jack, and these are all in stereo for the vibrato. And then the USB is so that you can use a laptop and you can import different sound devices through the settings through the laptop.
perfect.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's it really makes it so functional. You've brought it into the 21st century.
Yeah, and you still get the real analog Rhodes
Yeah.
on top of the MIDI.
So the signal that's coming out of the USB, what signal is that? That's
There's a 5-volt power supply available through that, and then also you can program your MIDI settings with your laptop through that. Yeah, so you can get a direct handshake or interface, so to speak.
and what made you decide to do the wheels on the side? Because that's not something that Rhodes had before. I just
Right. Well, with MIDI, that's sort of a common thing you see in most synthesizers. You may want to have that, and so we decided to incorporate that in, so you can have that feature if you want.
Right.
Now, of course, it doesn't affect the analog sound of the Rhodes. That's still unadulterated. The Rhodes is that sound is mixed in.
So this is just to make it for as a MIDI controller to have those capabilities, but for the straight Rhodes itself, you're not pitch
Right.
bending.
No,
Yeah,
no.
there's
The
no
Rhodes
way.
itself is comes out completely just as a normal Rhodes, analog. Everything is analog. And then we have a volume control, which is separate from the MIDI sound engine setting. So if you want to blend that, you can use this volume control, and you can blend in the sound of any of your sound settings with this control. Also, you can split the keyboard into several sections. If you want to have horn lines up here, you can be playing the Rhodes down here, and then play horn lines up here, and you can divide it into any set of keys you want.
Or if
can
you want
break
to
it
overall
up.
layer like strings on top of your Rhodes or piano or anything like that. See?
That's right.
Beautiful.
Yeah.